Hey guys, Coach Kuiper here. Hey, gonna start running through some videos to help with various concepts. Hopefully you guys can review this ahead of time or after the fact, and that way we can do a little bit less talking, a little bit more doing during practices, get more reps equals more practice equals better performance, hopefully, better mastery of the material. Today I wanted to go over some basics of controlling the run game. It's a pretty big topic. Most guys think of this as, hey, let's pick runners off. Holding runners on is a lot more, controlling the run game is a lot more than just picking guys off. Holding runners on is a big part of it, but we'll get into the various aspects. So here's a quick overview, and then I'm gonna go ahead and break down each individual topic into each component video. My goal is to keep these videos short and digestible, have you guys watch them ahead of time, or like I said, or after the fact, and then we'll go from there. So first and foremost, runners on. Obviously it's gonna happen at some point. As much as we wanna think that we can keep all hitters off base, it's just not the way it works. As far as the topics, if you go all the way down the list, the number one thing you can do, the very first step in this entire process, is get to know your opponents. I know it may seem simple, but get to know the opposing runners, who's fast, who's not, know the situations, know when they might want to run. Maybe you know the opposing coach, see if he's an aggressive guy. The way they take leads might be dictated by the coaching style. I've seen that a lot. And you may say, hey, I've never seen this team before, so how can I do any scouting? I don't have enough time. What I would say is start looking at these guys in pregame. If you really just are watching them take the infield, you can start to see who are the quicker guys. Generally speaking, you're going to see your 1, 2, 8, 9 guys as some of your speed guys. And then on top of that, when you're seeing the team on base for the first time, start to get an idea of what individuals do as well as team concepts that the coach might employ. So these are some of the things that you can do from a homework perspective. Number 2, think about your own tendencies. Think about your cadence when you go to the dish. If there's a man on first, do you always come with a 1 count and then a 1001 and then go to the dish, or do you vary up your times? That's the second step, knowing your tendencies. That could be a number of head turns with a man on second, things like that. That's the second group of piece of information, the second set we'll talk about. The third one is what people like to think about being quick to the dish. I don't like to preach the slide step, so I stole this term from a coach who helped instruct me. He called it pops, and we'll talk about ways to think about coming with a high leg lift, a medium leg lift, and a low leg lift rather than just a straight slide step. So we'll talk about handbrake and slide steps as kind of a general concept. The next step that we'll talk about is the mechanisms of picking off runners at first and second base. The various types of pickoffs, when to do them, why to do them, what types of leads to do them against, and sort of the progressions of setting runners up versus trying to get an out. There's times when you're trying to shorten a primary lead, there's times when you're trying to get an out, and there's times when you're trying to set a guy up for future outs later on in the game. You can gain information. That's several subject matter, subsections all in itself. Another couple things that we'll talk about at some point are the types of runner leads and how to exploit. And then we will also, one of the things I forgot to mention is the field of view, your vision. When there's a man on first or man on second, your eyes play a huge component part in this whole thing. So we need to understand, what are your eyes doing? What piece of information can you collect? Are you a guy who's really close and can barely see first base? Are you a guy at second base who always goes to the dish upon a certain amount of vision you have towards home? Things like that. So we'll talk about vision and field of view. I know that's a lot of things, and it may seem like way more than you thought you'd gotten yourself into, but these are some of the component parts that I like to teach about controlling the run game. There's a lot more other things that we could go into, but I think if I break it down into studying your opponents, your field of vision as the second thing, how long you hold the ball before you deliver and your cadence, your handbrake or the pops and how quick you are to the dish, understanding the different types of pickoffs at first and at second, and then when to apply them. Those are some of the various aspects that we'll get into. So thanks for listening to this first one. That's a big overview, and eventually I'll have links to the other videos down below.